One of the most challenging parts of making a lasagna is not actually building it, but cutting it and serving it at the table. But with this easy tip, it's a breeze. When you build a lasagna in layers, it can be difficult to cut those layers into squares that hold their shape on a plate. But if you make lasagna roll-ups, everybody gets their own roll, and it couldn't be easier to serve. There are three components to lasagna: the meat sauce, a cheese mixture, and the noodles. Let's start by making the meat sauce. I'm going to preheat a pan over medium heat. Once your pan is preheated, I'm going to add just a little bit of oil to help get things started, and then I'm going to add ground beef. We're going to cook this beef, breaking it up into smaller pieces until we don't see any traces of pink. Once that beef is all browned, go ahead and add some onion, red bell pepper, and some minced garlic. Just about 4 or 5 minutes for the onion and pepper to cook and soften. Now we can go ahead and add some Italian seasoning, a little bit of dried oregano for just 30 seconds. Let's deglaze with a little red wine. This is an optional step, but it does add flavor and help all those flavors come out and blend together. Bring that red wine to a simmer. The alcohol will boil off and the flavor will concentrate a little bit. Now we're going to add some tomato, crushed tomato, and a little bit of diced tomato as well. Bring this mixture to a simmer. We're going to let this simmer for about 20 minutes while we make the other two components for the lasagna. The second component of our lasagna is a cheese mixture. So together we're going to beat some ricotta cheese, some grated mozzarella cheese, and 3 eggs. I'm adding an extra egg to this cheese mixture because this is going to have to hold together in these little lasagna roll-ups that we're making. Season this cheese mixture with a little bit of salt and pepper to taste. It's probably going to be about a teaspoon of salt. Now we've got our cheese mixture. Our meat sauce is simmering. Let's talk about the noodles. It's important to use pre-boiled noodles for a lasagna roll-up because of course they have to be flexible. Bring a large pot of water to a boil, season it with salt, and then cook more lasagna noodles than you think you need. You do this because inevitably 1 or 2 of those noodles are going to break, and it's important that we have full whole noodles for lasagna roll-ups. When they're done, drain them and then lay them out on clean, damp kitchen towels like this, not overlapping, so that none of the noodles stick together. Once your meat sauce has cooked and cooled, taste it to make sure that it has enough salt and pepper for you. Season it a little bit if you need to. Now we're ready to build our lasagna. Preheat the oven first, 375 degrees. Now I've put a piece of silicone down on my counter just to make it easy for me to roll these up. And I'm going to take some of these lasagna noodles and place them down in front of me like this. Now with our noodles, we're going to take some of our cheese sauce, about 1/4 cup per noodle, and we're going to spread this along the noodle. On top of the cheese sauce goes some of the meat sauce. Now resist the temptation to overfill these noodles because that is just going to make your life a little more difficult when you go to roll it up. Now before you roll these 4 lasagna noodles, put a little bit of the meat sauce in the bottom of a ceramic casserole, about 9 by 13. It doesn't need to cover the entire bottom, but there should be some kind of a coating just so that you can make sure your lasagna noodles aren't going to stick. Sprinkle a little mozzarella on top of each noodle's meat sauce. And then start rolling them up. This can get a little messy. When you get to the end, lift that noodle up towards you so that nothing falls out, and then transfer this noodle to the lasagna pan, seam side down. Repeat with all the other noodles that you have, and build your lasagna. Now with any remaining sauce that you have left over, dollop that on top, and then take your remaining cheese sauce and put little drops of that all around. And then smooth that out. It's okay if it gets a little bit messy. Now we're going to top it with some Parmigiano Reggiano cheese and send this to the oven. Once this all bakes, you're going to be able to cut in between those lasagna noodles easily and serve everybody a roll of their own. This is going to go into the oven at 375 degrees for just about 30-35 minutes, which is less time than a traditional layered lasagna, so another advantage. Your lasagna is done when the sauce is bubbling around the side and the cheese on top has melted and it's beautifully golden brown. So let's take a look. It looks amazing. This is absolutely perfect. Now all we have to do is give it a moment to cool because nobody can eat it when it's this hot. Then simply slide a spatula between the noodles, scoop it out on each plate, and you have 12 perfect portions.